Hey guys, I'm Melissa Marty, a Puerto Rican actress based in Los Angeles, and thank you for watching.
Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan. For today, we have on the show, what can I say? The amazing, the incredible, the badass, the superstar, the incredible Melissa. Melissa, how are you today?
I'm good, Dan. How are you? It's so nice to meet you.
Doing fantastic. What better way to have an incredible, super badass Friday than to be chatting with someone that's badass? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that.
All right. Now, before we start, I do want to thank those who are watching. Thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. Helps a lot. And without further more, let's jump in. Now, for those who don't know who is incredible, amazing, badass Melissa, can you please tell us who you are?
Well, I am a Puerto Rican actress. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I'm just a girl who decided to follow her dreams and move to LA in pursuit of this dream of becoming an actor. And here I am, taking every opportunity I can in my hands and just, running with it, following the dream.
And you're making it happen. So
I'm trying.
All of it. All of that. Now, let's go back in time, right? And tell me where this journey began.
Well, I studied audiovisual communications in college. And from there, I dabbled in pageantry for a little bit. I did the Miss Puerto Rico pageant, and then from there went on to do another pageant that was like a pageant/reality show called Nuestra Belleza Latina for Univision Networks. That one I won, and the prize was a contract with the network, with Univision, to work as an on-camera host and entertainment reporter. That led to 3 years of working for them and hosting my own shows and doing a bunch of red carpets and all that kind of fun stuff. And when that ended, I decided it was time to move to LA and pursue my lifelong dream of becoming an actor, which is what I've dreamt of doing since I was like 16.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. That's badass. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, and the experience of just working on camera as a host and like having that, for lack of a better word, comfortability in front of the camera and just in being yourself and all that kind of stuff. It translates into other things, which is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. But tell me, what were some of the challenges that you first encountered when you were making your first, let's say, baby steps on your acting career?
Well, I moved to LA when I was about 28. Not to age myself, but in Hollywood terms, that's considered a little late, I guess, for some people. So that, to start off, that was a bit of a challenge, just coming in thinking like, oh my God, people here start when they're super young, and I am arriving at 28, and like, what does that mean for my career? How long is it going to take? And blah, blah, blah. And that all like ripples down, right? And so that was one. Two was just like, I honestly, I didn't know anybody in LA. I didn't know how this industry worked. I didn't know what steps to take. I had friends and I had people that I knew of who were already in the industry, and I reached out and some of them gave me some great advice, and like I grabbed onto that, and then it's just kind of following your heart and following like, well, okay, I have to get an agent. Okay, so let me start knocking on doors and start taking meetings and see, the easiest way would be like getting a commercial agent, which is like the first kind of step into dabbling in acting here in LA, and slowly but surely, finding classes that you feel comfortable with the teachers in, and that you feel comfortable in the group, that you feel in a safe space to allow yourself to grow and explore, which is a lot of what acting is. But yeah, I'd say those two. I'd say just like thinking that I was moving here too late, which was a mistake. Like it was a mistaken thought, because there's no such thing, right? Yep. There's no such thing as the right or wrong time to pursue a dream. It's just you go when you go. There
you go. Yeah. And so basically the key here is to be persistent, right?
Oh yeah. Especially for this career. I've had a couple of friends that have moved recently to LA, and that's like the one thing that I tell them is like, this isn't a career that you can put a timeline on. it's so, to a word, like kind of inconsistent.
Mhm.
But it just requires persistence and discipline and just a lot of will and grit to like stay in it
Yeah.
and keep going.
Yeah. And I do think like that the whole beauty about acting is that there is no specific age to it. You know, there's roles for everyone, you know,
Yes.
for 80-year-old people to 60, 70, 50, 40, 30. You know, like I think that is kind of the one of the cool things about it, that there is no a required age for you to be one, you know.
1,000%. I think that what people struggle with a lot of the times is like thinking, well, these are the type of roles that I want to play, right? And then maybe you're not in that age range anymore. Maybe
Totally.
you come to LA and you're like, ooh, I want to play the sexy young college girl. And it's like you don't look like a college girl, or self-identifying as what exactly you look like,
Yeah.
which is something that I went through in a class. Like they had us like say, okay, how do you see yourself? Sometimes how we see ourselves isn't exactly how we look,
Mm-hmm.
how we carry our, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so learning to identify that is really helpful for me. For example, for commercials, um it was letting go of like the, oh, I want to be this, and like I have a very maternal mother like look for commercials, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what I would book, you know. And then it's just accepting that and being like, okay, I'm okay with this, and running with it. Because that one thing, I feel like there's this saying that says like work begets work, and just once you're in it, one thing kind of leads to the next and to
Mm-hmm.
the next and to the next. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's
mhm.
true. You know, I find it super hilarious whenever there is this film about like college kids or high school kids and the actors looks like they're under 30s.
Right.
You know, and you're like, come on, are you kidding me? Like they clearly
Right.
look in their 30s. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So that's like that's a part of it. It's a part of it. And a lot of it also in this industry doesn't necessarily depend on us as actors, right? Like there are things that do depend on us, but there's a bunch of other things that depend on our team and how our team sees us, how our team, like what are the opportunities that they're able to get you in and that they're able to get you to read for. And then are you willing to do those, you know, and to go with it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, moving on here a little bit and focusing a little bit on your acting career, tell me how you prepare a character. Of course, that I understand that depends on the role, but what is your, you know, your usual approach before,
Whatever.
you know, jumping into this process?
For me, having studied audiovisual communication, specifically film and TV production, I really rely a lot on the script and on what's written on the page. I feel that writers, they tell you a lot with what they put in the words that they want you to say as
Mm.
the character, right? So I dive into that. I read the script one or two times, and then I try and find some kind of similarities of myself, like what I see of myself in this person. And from there on, just try to create that character, that person's world in my mind. What do
Mm.
they do? Where do they go? Where do they frequent? Like that kind of stuff, you know? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and in a sense also linking it to me. I feel like to me, if I'm able to link emotionally to what a character is going through, if I can associate it with something that I've experienced in my personal life, it just helps me to like cling myself and like wrap myself around that persona and make it more real. um Having studied that, I feel that cameras have a very unique way of catching on to when things come from a real place and when they're
Yeah,
not. So
totally.
I try to link it in some way like that, and it's been helpful thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Also, the audience can really catch uh whenever we see a character that is not real. You know that
Yeah,
either.
and that the person's not believing
Hmm.
it, right? Because
Yeah,
I feel like for you to believe me in something, I have to believe it myself first. Because if not, it's just not going to come off the right way. And
totally.
then it I've seen it too. I've seen it too in shows where I'm like, I don't know, I don't believe that person in that role. I don't
Mhm.
I don't think, you know, and it's so disappointing because it's like it just takes you out of the story and it takes you out of the moment and it's like,
Yeah,
I want
yeah,
to believe it, but I can't, you
yeah.
know?
Like yeah. Like whenever that happened, you just start caring. You know, you put your attention into other stuff, or you
Exactly.
starting to see it in another way to be like, oh, like yeah, it's horrible whenever that
Yeah.
happens. And even that happens to, I mean, to all type of actors, even like
Oh, for
A-list
sure.
actors, it happens that as well, that
That's
even
happened to me watching like A-list actor movies, and I'm like, he's a great actor or she's a great actor, but I just like don't believe them in this role for whatever reason. Like for
totally,
whatever reason it may be, I just like I don't believe it.
totally,
You know?
totally. Yeah, and besides that, what do you think that are other reasons why creating a character, like creating a character could be challenging?
Well, that I think that is the most challenging, like finding a way to identify with this new person's life.
Totally.
I mean, at the end of the day, as actors, we're putting ourselves in situations that one are out of our control, right? We aren't the ones who control these situations. The writers do with whatever story they're wanting to tell. But also that could be like so far removed from our reality as just people
Yeah.
that immersing yourself in those shoes, putting yourself in those shoes and making it feel honest and credible, I think is the biggest challenge, you know, and also not allowing ourselves as people to place judgment over the characters' lives that we are portraying, if that makes sense,
Hmm.
right? Like as Melissa, whatever character that I am going to interpret, um, I can't be judgmental over that character's choices, life choices, like whatever it may be. Um, I recently did a short film that's called Promises, and I was the lead in the film, and Danielle, which was the character's name, was a recovering addict. I've never done drugs in my life. Like it's just not a part of who I am.
Yeah.
That being said, and I've never smoked a cigarette, like those kind of stuff. It doesn't apply. Like it doesn't catch my attention. I've never been interested. She smoked cigarettes. She did all these things that like I couldn't judge, and I had to, and I had to like
There you go.
at the same time like find a way to be okay with it
Mm.
for that story because it was important for
Yeah.
her life story to be told in the adequate way for me to embrace that as her life, you know, even
Mhm.
though it's like so far removed from me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
making those choices and being able to be okay and not judgy over it, I think is a really hard thing to do and to do honestly.
Absolutely. And now that you mentioned that, is there any type of role that you would refuse to play?
I just did. I passed on a I was given a script. I've done it a couple of times. I've done it like refused to audition for things. For example, I passed on a project that was for a huge Mexican icon role. Like it was like a biopic of this huge Mexican icon. I'm not Mexican. And
Yeah.
although I could play a Mexican in a regular life story, I personally didn't think it was correct of me to try to portray such a huge icon not being Mexican. You know, if it's a
Mm.
random regular story, I'd be fine with it. Not like a real life person that lived and breathed and we're telling that person's story. I think it there's no way, even however much I would have studied, that I would have been able to be true and faithful and honest and just really do justice to this person's story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, makes
Because
sense.
it's not my culture. So that one was like for like a reason of like respect for the Mexican culture and the Mexican people. Um, there was another one that I just recently passed on that was I don't like scary movies. and I don't
Okay.
like demonic and like
Hmm.
gory stuff. I can't bring myself to watch it. And it was something in that world. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm gonna have the worst time. I'm gonna have nightmares for weeks. I was like, no. So I was like, I always put my or try, right? If it's something that's gonna cause me stress or anxiety or distress and like for my mental health or anything, I'm like, it's just not worth it for
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
I feel like this is a career that's it's fun. It's meant to be fun and we're meant to have fun while doing it. And that wouldn't be fun for me. So I
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I get it. I mean, at the end, it's okay to have your nose, right? I mean, you should,
Right.
you're supposed to have it. And also, yeah, you mentioned. I mean, it's supposed to be fun. If it is
Right.
something that you like, that you are passionate about it, then yeah, your main focus would be to actually make it fun, not to make it feel
Yeah.
miserable
And
or
yeah, and it's like when we think about projects as actors, we like do these things and they're months of our lives. Like if it's a movie, it could be weeks or it could be months, depending on the size of the project, right? But like it's months of your life that you're investing into something that if you're not enjoying it, then why would you do it? It's your life at the end of the day. Yes, it's a career, but it's also my life and I want to wake up and be excited of what I get to do that day and of what I get to the story that I get to tell or the person that I get to embody. I want to be able to be proud of those things and be able to wake up and be excited about
Mhm.
going to work.
Yeah, yeah. And also, when you mentioned about playing roles that are from another country, I mean, even till this day, I find it funny that, for example, they will portray Mexico, or they will portray Spanish speakers that don't know, that doesn't sound like a Spanish speaker at all. I'm Mexican, so I find super hilarious whenever they will play like this in Mexico, and then you know then the locals, then they speak up perfectly English, and you're like, okay. But when you hear their Spanish, it's like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, there's no way someone like an actual local would sound like that. So I find that funny that even till this day they still make that. You know what I mean? Knowing
Right.
that there is this huge amount of Mexican actors too who can portray those roles, or Spanish speakers who can portray those roles and make
And
it
learn the
and make it
accent and all this.
make it look like more relatable or like more real.
Right, right. That's something that I advocate for a lot, like in a sense, because being Hispanic and being from Puerto Rico, Spanish is my first language,
Totally.
and I love that, and I defend that, like to the point where it's been like at points like problematic with people how much I defend my language, but um I'm never gonna be, you know. I don't know what the word ashamed.
Mhm.
I'm never gonna feel ashamed of doing that because it is my mother tongue.
Totally.
And because it is the way I grew up speaking with my mom and my dad and my grandmother and I find that it's a beautiful language and I find that it needs to be respected and loved and nurtured the same way that any other country would nurture their own languages. And I think there's opportunity for like if you want to play a Hispanic role to put in the time and the work and learn it because again it's a matter of like just respect in
Hmm.
a sense.
Yeah, yeah. I do think there's still this huge amount of miscommunication. A few months ago, I interviewed an actress that she's from Spain. She also
Hmm.
lives in LA, and she was telling me that she will get offers from Spanish speakers who are from Mexico, Puerto Rico, Argentina, countries like that. And she says she denies them because she's like, just because I speak Spanish, that doesn't mean that it's the same, that is the same accent as people who actually live there, you
Right.
know. And
And you can learn an accent. I think like there's things because you can learn an accent. I could learn how to like do a very good Mexican accent. I could learn how to speak like from like somebody from the F or like some, like somebody from Spain. Like you can learn accents as long as like you, in my opinion, like as long as like you're not butchering the
Totally.
language, you can learn the mannerisms, the words, the cadences, all those things you can learn, but just, respectfully and honoring the language as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it respectful. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can learn an accent, that's true, but yeah, make sure that you are taking attention into the expressions, like things like that. For example,
I think it's important.
yeah,
And people who come from those places, like you said yourself, like you see it and you're like, come on. Like for people that are from these countries, when they see it, they just, if it's not done right,
hmm
the entire thing kind of loses the effect of like reaching,
totally,
right?
totally.
Because they lose interest, because then they don't see themselves identified in whatever it is that they're seeing. So, but that's,
Yeah,
it's
that's a whole other topic. Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
learn, and
Yeah,
it's a hard like road to a hard river to navigate,
totally.
because at the end of the day, everybody wants to work, and there are Latinos who were born and raised in the States and that probably don't know how to speak Spanish and don't like to be told that they're not Latino because they don't speak Spanish. But
hmm
it's just a weird road to navigate.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, that conversation will lead to another type of conversation, and another. Yeah, it's a very complex one. Yeah, I can totally,
Yeah, it's very
absolutely.
complex, and the
Yeah,
whole, I've always thought that as Latinos, yes, we are all Latinos, but no, our experiences aren't the same, and
totally.
our cultures aren't the same, and our dialects and our, accents are the same. Food isn't the same. Like there's so many nuances to all the Latino Hispanic speaking
Yeah,
countries
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
that
absolutely.
that it's so complex and so diverse that it's not umbrellable,
hmm
so to say.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
That one
it's.
experience is
Yeah,
not
but it's.
gonna cover
Yeah.
all the, it's impossible.
No, it's a lot. I mean, like 12 years ago, I had an exchange program and I was in Germany and I met people from Ecuador, Argentina, Chile, Brazil,
Yeah,
Uruguay, like all of those type of countries. And we were comparing, like our words with each other. And it was
right.
hilarious because, we were
Very
like laughing,
different.
it was totally different. And even though that we were together a year, still they were like a lot of things that we were learning from each other cultures, knowing that we speak the same language, but the
Right.
but the meaning in a lot of words is totally different way,
Very. And it can
so
be like the same word, but have like a completely different meaning and context. And I think there is so much beauty in that,
totally.
trying to like erase it, or like trying to like, in a sense, not erase it, but like ignore it. I struggle with that, because there is so much beauty in the differences. There is so much beauty in the differences. So like to try to like, let's umbrella it, and we're one and the same. It's like, no, why?
Mm-hmm.
No, differences are beautiful, like in this sense, in that, and they kind of, if that's, I mean, I don't know if that's the experience that you've had, but it's the experience that I have had living, for example, in Miami, which is like a conglomerate of a lot of Latinos
Mm-hmm.
in one place. It kind of brings people together, right? Because it
Totally.
gives them the opportunity to share, like, oh my God, that's for you. This is for me. How, like you're saying, it's so funny, but you're creating friendship and community and all these other things based on sharing and exploring the differences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah,
that's beautiful. I
yeah,
think that's
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, and also like the whole culture to it. I remember that yeah, when I was there, even though that if I was randomly speaking Spanish, someone will come and be like, "Oh, are you speak Spanish?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Where you from?" "I'm from Mexico." "And you?" I'm from for example, I'm from Venezuela." "Oh, that's so cool!" And suddenly we became best friends out of nowhere because we were like sharing,
Right.
like words here and that. And I find that really, yeah, that's really really amazing how like the whole Latin community around the world is, yeah, is very warm, is very welcome to all type of yeah, to all type of, regardless where you're from. But the fact
Right.
that you're speaking like the same language is like,
Spanish.
you know, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's like this feeling, you know, I can't describe it, but it's like this warm feeling that you, when you find someone who speaks Spanish, you're like, oh,
I
that's so cool, you know what I mean?
I absolutely
Mhm.
1000% agree. 1000% agree with you.
Yeah.
And I've had the same experience.
Yeah, it's amazing. And now moving on here a little bit, tell me, do you take home your characters, and has that ever affected you in a negative way somehow?
Um, no, I don't think I bring them home. I think I do a really good job in realizing that it's because I work off of imagination most of the
Mm-hmm.
time. I think I do a really good job at like disconnecting and realizing, okay, this isn't Melissa, it's that and it ends there. Even like when I've had, for example, like romantic scenes or scenes where I have to like kiss another person. I'm married. I've been with my husband for now 18 years,
Wow.
married. Um, I'm able to be like, okay, that's work, and that has nothing to do with me, with my personal life, with like whatever happens inside my, nothing absolutely to do with it. So, and it also helps that my husband has nothing to do with this industry. He's not in the entertainment industry at all, and that's very helpful because when I get home, it's like I'm home and I'm just me, and he's known me since we were in high school, so it's like he knows me, not Melissa, the TV personality, not Melissa, the
Sure.
actress. He knows Melissa, the girl that, was a cheerleader in high school and then played soccer and who competed with him in math class to see who got the better grade. Like, you know, so it's that's very helpful for me. So no, I don't think that I've ever had that experience. I've also never really, I mean, I've done movies here and there, but I don't think that I've ever been in a project long enough to have that character like take over
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
or even allow the character to kind of take over.
Yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense. Absolutely. Yeah, like
Mhm.
with some of the actors that I've interviewed, if for some of it, it can happen if, for example, they did a character for a theater show for a couple of months, then some parts
Right,
of it will stick with them,
right.
or if it is for a TV show, or if they're
They've done
playing
seasons and seasons.
totally,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
if they're playing a certain scene that their real themselves lived some time ago. You
Right.
know, like and that could go also with the question that I asked before, that also some actors have telling me that they are not comfortable playing a certain character or a certain scene for something traumatic they lived
That
before,
they
you
lived
know,
through.
that they actually been yeah, they went through,
But you know
you
what?
know.
I have found that I feel personally, right? Like I
Totally.
feel that there is a lot of fear in doing that because you don't want to like relive your past experiences. But I've also found that there can be a lot of healing through allowing yourself to do that,
Yeah.
knowing that it's not you and that it's this other character, but yet you allow yourself to go through the motions and the experiences, and it can be healing in a sense. Like you can heal personal things through characters' stories and lives. I think. Um it takes a lot of valor and a lot of like, you know, being able to deal with the fear of leading into it again and like maybe feeling those feelings again and not knowing what can come out of it. But I do think that there's space for healing whenever you do allow yourself to do that.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. Although I would also say that it requires a lot of mental strength, you know,
For sure.
for you to
A
be
thousand
actual, yeah,
a 1000%.
for you to realize that you're about to do this, that yeah, you maybe you experienced that before, but it has nothing to do with it. It is totally
No.
different thing, you know. But yeah, I
A
find
1000%. Mm-hmm.
totally,
Mm-hmm.
totally. And tell me, let's say, right, the one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now, here's the catch. I have zero experience. So based on what you know and what you have been through, what do you think it would be a good place for me to start?
I would tell you, first and foremost, know that it's something that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. It's not something that happens overnight, and overnight success is most of the time a decade.
Mhm.
10 to 15 years in the hustle and bustle of it is what an overnight success looks like, right? So knowing that it doesn't happen quickly, that it's a race of, like, it's a resistance race. And then aside from having you try to analyze yourself and try to what I was talking about earlier about identifying what roles you think you would be great for, I would tell you to, like, immediately get into a class and build a community of friends who are actors, because I feel like that's the easiest way to get connected to an agent, to get connected to a commercial agent, to, like, you go up to people that aren't your type. Like if it were me, I'd probably go up to a dude and, like, ask him, hey, do you like your agent? Would you, do you go out a lot? Is he looking for Latinas? Would you mind recommending me? Like, because they won't feel it's a threat to their work.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, she's gonna come and take my job, because I physically wouldn't be able to take a guy's job. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so I feel like that's where I would tell you to start. And also
Okay.
just like getting in a class, and this is all like it's like working out. It's a muscle, right? So,
Mhm.
like, memorizing is a muscle, feeling comfortable in front of a camera is a muscle, feeling comfortable in your own body movements is a muscle. Like for dancers, like, you practice movements because, and it's the same thing for actors. Like, you need to feel comfortable in your body, which ultimately is your instrument, and in front of this, like, weird scenario where, like, you're doing random things with random people in front of random audiences.
Totally.
It's bizarre. So getting comfortable in being uncomfortable would be a great place to start.
There you go. All right, I'll take that into consideration. If I ever become an actor, I'll be mentioning. Be sure that I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech.
Heck yeah.
I got you. I got you. I love it. Now, let's say that one day Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus. I mean, you name it. Basically, everyone has a streaming service right now. But anyway,
Yeah. It's
let's
hard
say
to keep up with.
right. So let's say that they call you and they tell you they have this idea, which go that they're gonna make a film in which all of the characters you have played at the moment, all of them, they're all gonna gather to celebrate your birthday. But here's the thing: the film needs a name. So how should we call it?
Ooh. Light it up.
I'll take it.
Something like that.
Hmm.
For a variety of reasons. My godmother, ever since I've been young, has always told me, Meli, let your light shine. Let your light shine, let your light shine, let your light shine. And I've carried that with me for, like, the longest time. I feel like it's one of those things that like, as women and as people, sometimes we're taught, like, to not make people uncomfortable, to not, like, rock the boat too much, to, like, keep quiet, keep small. But my godmother taught me the complete opposite. It was like, just let yourself go and let yourself shine, and let yourself let all the talents and the gifts that God gave you shine through you, right? So, and I'm also a Leo, which, that's like, it's a fire sign. It's like, and the characteristics of a Leo are me, like, they define me. So, it's, yeah, I would say that would be, like, the perfect name, because there's nothing I love more on my birthday than gathering around with, the people that I love, and just being authentic and being me and being loud and being, like, all the things that I just love.
Yeah.
So maybe somewhere, something
Something like that. Okay.
something in that realm with light and shining and just allowing yourself to be 1,000% fully who you are.
Okay, I'll take that. Now, what about describing your whole career? But you know what? This time on a drink.
If it were a drink,
A drink that once you try it could describe your career, if that makes sense.
the name for the drink, right? Not the drink itself,
Both.
just the name for the drink.
Let's go for both.
Oh, okay.
What would it have?
It would have to have ginger, some kind of ginger.
Okay.
If it were like ginger beer, or because it's spicy and it's, you know, it can be fiery. My choice when I drink alcohol is probably like vodka. So it'd probably mix with vodka
Okay.
and mint, maybe some strawberries for sweetness, something in that realm. Refreshing because I'm from the Caribbean. And we could call it like, I don't know why I have the word persistence in my head. I don't know. Persistence something.
Let's see. Yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I mean, with the word persistent, yeah, it's a tricky one.
Yeah, or fiery passion, fiery push, fiery, I don't know. Something.
Right. Okay. All right. I'll take that. You know, we'll see. We'll see in the future what name we
Maybe
have.
a weird name for the type of drink that I described, but hey.
I mean, it describes your career, so I'll take it. You know, I mean, I will be making it at some point. I will try it and be like, okay, this tastes good. I'll be like, whoa, this is tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that. Now, like, what motivates you? You know, we all have those days that we just want to quit. You know, it happens to all of us, regardless in what we are doing, it happens. So how you
Yeah.
manage to stay positive, you know?
I have my ebbs and flows, for sure. I feel like the reason why I keep going, I guess, and don't give up is because I promised myself at a very early age that I was going to try and be that example that I never saw on TV when I was growing up. I never saw in the things that I watched, I never saw somebody that looked like me, or somebody that, you know, even with like beauty pageants, right? Like somebody that wasn't like super tall and had like perfect measurements, but still made it, you know, and was still successful. And I've always pursued being that for whoever's sitting at home and looks at me and is able to say like, oh, Melissa's a normal girl who just had a big dream and went for it, you know? And I feel like when I'm down, I remind myself of that. And I remind myself of the fact that like, we don't know who's watching us, right? Like we don't know now with social media, like you don't know
Yeah, you don't know.
who's looking at your stuff and finding inspiration in it and finding a reason for themselves to keep going because they see you keep going, you know? So I've always thought of that. Like I want to be the reason somebody doesn't give up. Therefore I can't give up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Because the way I see it is you're carrying a responsibility, you know? And maybe for some people they don't believe it that way, but I do know that there is room from everyone. What I mean by that is that you never know, you know, for something you did, something you said, that it could actually inspire someone, or it could change somebody else thinking. You know, I think
Yeah.
that when you manage to move someone on something that you did or said, I think that's when you start to discover that you have a responsibility to it. You know what I mean?
Right. And I've always like, even when I was in college, what we were talking about, how the camera sees, sees everything so clearly and is able to detect lies and all that kind of stuff so
Yeah.
clearly and rapidly. I've always, as a host, as an actor, as, everything on the other side of the camera, I've always looked at it as I'm never speaking to a conglomerate of people. I'm never speaking to a huge crowd. I'm speaking to one person. I'm speaking to that little girl or that young man or that person just sitting at home on their sofa looking at TV. I'm speaking to that one. And like you said, like if I'm able to affect one person, then I feel like I have done my job and like I have
Totally.
done, what I meant to do. And I've known that like through my career, I've had that happen multiple occasions where people that you just don't know come in and tell you these beautiful stories of how something that you did that you didn't even think of twice, like affected them so deeply and helped them move through. It's happened to me. I met Kelly Clarkson once at an event, like at a random event in a studio lot, and one of her songs got me through like one of the hardest breakups that I've ever had. And I went up to her and I was like, oh my God, your song, this you don't know, like it got me. It's kind of the same, like
Yeah.
music has that power, but so does storytelling. And so does like being a host, and just so does like living your life and living it like with integrity and purpose. Like I feel like sometimes a lot of people think that they can think that they don't matter, that whatever they do doesn't matter. I honestly, for a time being in this industry and in the entertainment industry, I did question that for a time being. And it was only through when the pandemic came that I realized, no, hold up. What I do as an actor has a lot of weight, and it matters because it gives people an outlet. It gives people an outlet to entertain and to escape and to release and to cry and to feel and to emote. And that matters because people need to be able to have the spaces to do that, right? And
Totally.
those are things that you achieve by watching stories and crying or seeing commercials and feeling in your heart that that's your abuelita or that that's whatever it may be. It matters.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I also think that that is challenging, right? And also like especially right now that for either actors, musicians, models, content creators, etc. I mean, it can be challenging because when you're starting out, I mean, you want like you create something, right? And then you're like, I love this, but once you see reaction or you see very little reaction, I mean, it's challenging for you to be fully motivated, be like, okay, you know what, that happens, I don't care, let's continue moving forward. I mean,
That is one of the things that you learn very quickly when you start doing pageants, even as silly as it sounds. You learn to not look at the comment section. You learn to not go into the like what's it called, like the forums where people just like discuss. You learn to not do it because at the end of the day, most of the people that criticize are people that are home not trying to do something themselves.
Totally.
And one of the things that I have also learned is that, first of all, great things take a lot of time and a lot of sacrifice. And people who have gotten to achieve great things haven't gotten them on the first try. It's been through trial and error. And
Yeah.
keeping on, like just keeping going.
Yeah.
So to those people who can be discouraged, I say just first of all, don't pay attention to the naysayers because they know not what they say because they're not you. And there's an incredible quote from one of my favorite authors. Her name's Brene Brown, and she says not to take advice from someone who's not in the arena, right? So if the person that is criticizing you has not been or is not in the arena that you are in, doing the work and in the battlefield, whatever they have to say doesn't matter.
Totally. You know, I saw this interview once with a musician, and he was saying that if you can move someone in what you do, then you're on the right way.
Yeah.
You know, you're on the right path if you manage to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sure.
Totally.
For sure.
And my last question here is, let's say that we're gonna make a film about the episode we just did right now.
Uh-huh.
But you know what is gonna happen. We need a title. So what will be the title for this episode?
It would be Inspiration Through Adversity.
Okay. I mean, that's gonna be the title for this video, so I'll take it.
Inspiration Through Adversity. I mean, I feel like, or Keep On Keeping On.
Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. Yeah. Keep on keeping on.
Okay, we'll take that.
Because there's so much things that, like, sometimes my husband once sent me like a little, I love quotes, and he sent me like this little meme. And I'm sure that you've probably seen it because it's not new and it's not, but it's like, it's two people digging, right? And like they're digging like in a mine, and it's like on the top, digging, and then like this far away just like gives up, right? And then the one in the bottom keeps going and gets. Anyway, the point of the thing is like,
yeah, I think I know which one you mean. Yeah.
Right. That when you're about, like, you can be this close, like it can be like the next project, and sometimes people give up at the last moment. And I think that that's something that we've seen over and over. I mean, at least I've seen it over and over in actors and interviews, that like they're like, I'm done, I'm giving up, and then the next thing like they know is that they get a call, is like, are you sure you're done? Because you just booked this one huge thing that's about to change your life, you know, like.
Yeah.
So you never know when the right moment is going to be. You just have to keep on keeping on and have faith that your door is going to open when the moment is right for it to open. Not a second earlier, not a second later, just when it's right.
Yeah. I do agree, and I believe that everything happens for a reason, but also everything will come at the right time to it. You know, there is no need to rush. The other day I was having this conversation in which we were saying that there is no need to rush for the destination. You know, enjoy the ride instead, because if you only focus, if you put your 100% only on the destination, once you get there, you're gonna realize all the things that you didn't care about throughout the journey that took you there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's 1,000%. It's the journey. It's like, it's enjoying the ride and being in the present moment and acknowledging that, like, that is where the magic is, you know. That is where the magic is, in the present moment. Yeah,
there you go. I mean, at the end, what can I say? You know, you're making it happen. You're making it happen. You have done incredible things. I mean, of course, that the only thing we can expect incredible things for you in the future. I'm super sure that our next conversation is going to be about the multiple thousands projects you've been in, because you're making it happen. You know, from your mouth to God's ears. Absolutely, because I do think that great things happen to those who are honest in what they do, you know. And hey, as I said before in the beginning, you're a total badass, and you are. You're making it happen. So keep up creating it, and keep up inspiring, because as you mentioned, I mean, I'm super sure there's people out there who sees you as a role model or as someone who are showing everyone that how to get things done, you know, and that's incredible. So. And that they can do it too. That I'm not any more special than anybody else. I'm just the same as everybody else, and I'm just
I'm just putting in the time and the work and getting up every day and
There you go.
keeping on. There you go.
I love it. I love it. Now, yeah, I also want to thank those who watched this. Thank you so much for now on the description below, because this episode is about to be over, you're gonna find all of Melissa's social media. So let's follow her. Let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Melissa, because she's incredible. And again, Melissa, thank you so much for making this happen. Keep creating and keep this incredible, amazing, of a sunshine person you always are. And I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely chatting with you, Dan.
Same here.